Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Friday Ramblings. I am the Bardic one. I am your host with the most, who's not a ghost, and that's what I boast. Okay, ran out of rhymes. We are going to get back into the manga because there is so much manga that I love and quite a bit that I've collected. And we're going to talk about a shonen favorite, or at least a favorite of mine, from the shonen genre and the Shonen Jump manga specifically, Psyren. Psyren. Okay. What's going on there? Craziness. Fire wings. Sword. Dude making finger gun. Looking kind of smug. What could that be? Well, luckily I'm here to lay it all out for you. That is, of course, the first volume. We also have the final volume right here. Look at that growing cast of characters. So lovely. Always good when you can grow your world and expand your cast as you go along. Psyren, a shonen manga series by Toshiaki Iwashiro. Toshiaki-san. And it was serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump magazine from December 2007 to November 2010, collected in 16 volumes, which is, of course, the format I have it in, as you just saw. Now, again, for you people who are a little less familiar with manga, especially the shonen genre manga, 16 volumes is actually kind of a medium length, if not short length, series run. Yeah. Some shonen series have gone, over 50 volumes. Some of my personal favorites that I've got here have gone closer to 40 volumes. In fact, actually, let's see. Toriko went 43. Let me see. 24 plus 7 is 34, 39. My run of the base Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, that ran about 45 issues, give or take a couple volumes. Having to do my math on the fly because it's one of those manga series that had a couple renames and volume number resets. But just under 50 volumes. You have things like Shonen King, or blah blah blah. Too many words coming out of the mouth at the same time. Shaman King, which ran for 32 volumes. I had to go check the magazine rack for that one real quick. So, Onakosh Rosario Cross Vampire, which was about 26 volumes. So, 16 is not bad. It's actually even shorter than Yu Yu Hakusho, which is definitely a iconic classic that we have discussed before, which ran 19 volumes. So, yeah, Psyren's actually a pretty quick, short read if you want to get into your shonen genre. So right then and there's a major recommendation for you. Now, does that mean that there's not much going on to it? No, quite the contrary. It is a very well-paced story that tells a full story in those 16 volumes. So what is the story? Well, I don't want to throw too much out at you because we do have that standing minimal spoilers policy here at the Roulette. But your basics of it is that it is a sci-fi heavy shonen style book. It involves psychic powers. It involves alternate realities, touch of time travel, which is a minor plot spoiler, but it addresses that pretty quick into the run. And most importantly, for a shonen genre series, I know I keep saying that, but You know, I do like to reiterate that manga does cover a wide variety of genres, and as such, we do have to specify what genre certain stuff fits into to remind you, hey, there's a manga out there for everybody, no matter what your tastes are. But as I was saying, most importantly for the shonen genre, it involves a lot of butt-kicking action. Look at all those people. Every single one of those. In their own quiet little ways, butt kicker. Especially these two. This is your main two. So, what's the nitty-gritty, spoiler-free version of Psyren's plot synopsis? Well, as with all good shonen series, it does involve male teenage protagonists. Nothing against females, but, you know, the genre tends to roll that way, by and large. So, we have Agiha Yoshina, who's a brash high schooler who offers to take care of anyone's problems for the price of 10,000 yen, which would be approximately $100 converted to American currency. After a quick little introduction to him and his problem solver side business, Agiha finds himself stumbling into a rescue of his classmate. Hold on, I gotta see this name in print. Amamiya. Again, these names are Japanese, and Japanese is not my first language, so sometimes my pronunciations are a bit off. Apologies to anybody if I pronounce any of these names poorly. He finds out Amamiya is part of a urban legend currently going all over the school and the medias about something called Psyren. All people know about Psyren is it involves phone cards, specifically the kind that you would use at payphones, because, you know, those used to be a thing before everything was pure cell phones. But these are basically, for those of you not familiar with this concept, these are prepaid phone cards, kind of similar to what we have all over here in America with the prepaid credit cards, where it's like, oh, you have X amount of money put on this card. In the case of the prepaid phone cards, it's you pay for X amount of calling time that you can use at any publicly available payphone in the country. But apparently, special phone cards pop up that, when used, connects you to something called Psyren, which tends to make people disappear. Thus, with a growing list of missing people, and that list is growing day by day, folks, media all over Japan is wondering, what is Psyren? What is happening to these people? Can they be rescued? But it turns out Amamiya is involved with Psyren and needs some help to make sure she does not disappear for good. Agiha jumps into the chaos full tilt and finds out it is crazier than anybody in the media suspected. Showing up in an alternate reality that has a lot of post-apocalyptic wasteland vibes to it, Agiha and Amamiya fight a variety of monsters, all while trying to reach the given, randomly assigned, short-term end goal so they're allowed to return to their world before these monsters kill them. Along the way, they meet a variety of characters who also visit the Psyren world and, like Agiha, decide, look, it's not enough simply to keep playing this game. I want to know who set this game up. I want to know how to stop it. Unfortunately, there are rules to participating in Psyren. The biggest one of all is you cannot tell people what happens in the Psyren world if they are not a player in the game. Thus, the circle of friends stays finite. Fortunately, as exposure to the Psyren world tends to unlock your own personal psychic powers, which generally vary in ways from person to person depending on their personality. There's a lot of P's there. Person to person personality. P Psyren. Silent P. But it's still there. The more they spend time in that alternate world and the more they train with their powers in between visits to the world, the better they are at beating the game. But that upsets the enemies, and the race is on to see who will beat who first. Unfortunately, when revelations about who created the phone cards, who is sending people into this Psyren world, and why come to light, it turns out things going on in their world and their present-day Japan have a much bigger impact on the Psyren world than they think, and the dangers are no longer stuck to just one reality. Throughout it all, though, as any good shonen series goes, Agiha and Amamiya grow attracted to each other, and come to terms with the own tragedies of their past. Because after all, one of these things that any good writer or even lit studier knows is there's a reason not everybody can be the big hero. Part of that is, well, jumping into situations in which the odds are that you're going to die, and die in a lot of pain, at the hands of somebody who is sadistic and possibly psychotic, well, that's something that takes a certain kind of mind that's got its own issues it needs to deal with to come, to want to do such a thing. I mean, let's face it. If I looked at you and said, hey, would you like to go to a wasteland of an alternate reality in which horrifying monsters are going to hunt you down and try to devour you, and if you're lucky you'll live long enough to gain some sort of psychic powers that you have to self-train yourself to use, and even then there's still no guarantee you're going to survive because these monsters are used to fighting people with these kind of psychic powers? Does that sound like something you would be like, oh yeah dude, I'm totally in for that, let's go? That's like, whoo, man, that's so much better than what I had planned today. Not everybody's going to want to do that. You gotta have something in your past that gives you just a little bit of a suicidal impulse. And that's something that, the shonen genre tends to cover well. Those things that break a person's mind in tiny little ways that causes them to pick fights that they should not be able to win. And that is one of the things I love about the Psyren series. It really does introduce you to people who have unresolved issues and trauma in their life in ways where, look, they're not walking around being perpetual victims on a day-to-day basis. And once they get around enough people who have similar problems, and they all start recognizing, we don't have to stay broken, and we can find victory in things to feel good about ourselves in life, if not flat out heroic, they begin a healing process and they become better people for the journey. Now, I know that sounds pretty obvious, especially people that read and analyze a lot, but it's all about how you present the person at the beginning. It's clear that Agiha and Amamiya are both people that are not considered standard by their peers. That is addressed in the opening chapter. And yet, they still can manage to function within that society without too much attention being put on the fact that they're not quite right. Which is what makes them heroic. You want to cheer for them because you recognize even before you meet the big main bad guys, there's something worth fighting. You know, that they're fighting uphill against bigger and greater problems in life. So, where does that put things on a perspective story? Well, as I said, I've already addressed Agiha there. Is the brash, brawling type who tends to shoot his mouth off and worry about the consequences later. Whereas our little Firebird, Amamiya there, she is the type who comes off more cold and distant, but that's ultimately just a cover for her inability to admit just how much she cares and how worried she is, as she sees the threats most people don't. She has to keep people at an arm's length because she's already seen a lot of people go down to the monsters of the Psyren world. And hey, especially when you're a teenager, there's a point where emotionally there's only so much of seeing people get devoured without even understanding why that your brain can handle. You got to put a stop to that at some point, for the sake of your own ability to keep getting out of bed the next day. Now, there are other close related regular cast members, such as Hiryu Asaga, a tough guy who came to Psyren in search of a childhood friend, who over time becomes Agiha's closest ally and friend, as Hiryu shows that he's the kind of guy, when he agrees to have your back, he'll have your back until one of y'all drops dead, because loyalty is everything with him. Treat him honorably, and he will never let you down. There's also Oboro Mochizuki, a celebrity in his own right, who manages to come across his own Psyren card, and in the process demonstrates that classic little rule that we seem to see played out so often when watching other celebrities in real life, which is spend so much time being idolized by people, tend to lose perspective on yourself and life. Oboro's got his own things he has to work through, and he comes off a little oddball, but in the end, he is a good guy who does care about people, even if for the sake of his public image, he can't show people who he necessarily truly is all the time. The final major cast member is Kabuto Kirasaki, a local playboy and perpetual liar who has so far spent his life running away from tough situations, all while trying to constantly find his next score so he can continue living the easy life and avoiding getting a real job. Push comes to shove, Kabuto's run first, fight only when there's nowhere to run attitude causes his psychic powers to develop in some unique ways, and in the end, he may just be the guy that, ironically, is shielding everybody else from their own demise. Can a coward really be the tank? Maybe. You're going to have to read to find out. And of course, there are various supporting characters. As I said, we got a big, nice cast in this final volume book. Family, mentors, new friends. But at the core, it is a story of Agiha and Amamiya, and how by dealing with life-threatening situations, they manage to not only find what it is they are missing in life that's preventing them from being happy, but determine once and for all who they want in their life to be happy. As I said, there is a little bit of romance in there. I'd call that a hashtag spoiler, but come on. We're humans. All of our great fiction involves some kind of romance, it seems like. But especially in the shonen genre, that happens a lot. There's a few that intentionally divert it. The author of One Piece has specifically said that he wants to avoid any blatant romance with his main character, Luffy. Although he has other characters who have their own potential love stories and desire to be romantical of type. So he's not even so much avoiding it, just avoiding it as one of the central plot points of his story. So, you know, more power to him. But still, there's nothing wrong with romance. There's nothing wrong with finding the person meant for you, and appreciating them and recognizing them for what they are. Especially when it so perfectly gels with everything else in the story. And Psyren does that plot point great. So, let's wrap things up. If you like sci-fi stuff, big scary monsters, alternate reality, quantum physics type stuff, dash of psychic powers for a little bit of superhero funness, hey, Psyren is 120% right up your alley. If you're just a general fan of the shonen genre and you're looking for a manga that you can power through without investing too much time, as I said, 16 volumes, it's a relatively short series. It's, actually, I think, again, let me check my stack here. That's 9, 10, yeah, out of my shonen genre series, because I do have a few series that are not technically part of that genre. They are part of the other genres manga comes into. It is the shortest one I have. I'm not saying there aren't shorter ones out there, but it's the shortest one I've personally got the complete collection of. And that means, again, if you're used to reading manga, trust me, this does not take long to read through because it is comic format, so it's not dense. Look at that. It's not dense blocks of text. Alright, let's just go ahead and... I don't want to do that one. That's the last volume. Let's look at the first volume here. Oh yeah, look at that. That's a good one. There's one of the Psyren monsters right there. Look at that great art. Look at that. Look at that fight scene. That is so intriguing. That is great art. Love it. So, as I said, for shonen fans, it's a good recommendation. Won't take you long to binge through. It's not a huge time investment or money investment since there's less volumes to buy. For sci-fi fans, it's definitely got something up your alley. For action fans, look, you got good guys fighting bad guys. You got bad guys fighting bad guys. And you even have a couple brief moments of good guys fighting good guys. You got humans fighting monsters. You got humans fighting humans. You got monsters fighting monsters. What more do you want from your sci-fi? So, check it out. Yeah, it's a good series. It's a good read. I'm not going to say it's my favorite, but it's one I've read several times and I've always enjoyed the read. Even knowing the basic plot beats and knowing where stuff's going, it's like riding your favorite roller coaster over and over again. You know where all the big drops are. You know how fast it's going to go, but you don't care because once you're on the ride, you're in the moment. And the moment is great. And it will always be great. And that's what Psyren is for you. It may not be the most iconic ride in the park, but it's one you can always rely on to give you that quick thrill and give you some enjoyment in your day. So, we're going to close it out. Once again, as always, subscribe, like, comment, all that other good YouTube goodness. Come back next week because we show up every Friday to discuss entertainment. We have a good attitude about it because, hey, there's enough hate on the internet. We're not in that business. And in the end, reading is fundamental. You should read more. Woodoo. And remember, the psychics are there. They are coming for you. They can read your thoughts. See you in 7, folks.